Draw Something updated. Read It Later transforms into Pocket. Nifty iOS accessories. Mountain Lion Beta 3 now out. And Tim Cook scheduled to face off with Samsung CEO in court. It's Thursday, April 19th, 2012, and this is iWake. I'm Tim Chaten, and this is what's going on in the Apple world today. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of iWake. First up on the show today is some app news. Leading it off is Draw Something. According to the Next Web, this latest update to Draw Something includes 3 new features, including commenting, the ability to save your photos into your photo album, and direct sharing of your drawings to social networks like Twitter and Facebook. The updated app also includes the ability to undo single lines at a time, and that only works for the last one you drew. So you draw a line, then you can undo that pretty easily, and that's a nice feature they've added. It also adds the ability to pull to refresh your main view, so you can look at an updated list of your games. The update is out now for both iOS and Android. Now into a bit of more news on the Instagram acquisition by Facebook. So first off, how did this deal go down? According to the Wall Street Journal, it was a remarkably speedy 3-day path to deal for Facebook. A young company takes pains to portray itself as a blue chip ahead of its initial public offering of stock in a few weeks that could value it up to $100 billion. Companies generally prefer to bring in ranks of lawyers and bankers to scrutinize the deal before proceeding, which could take weeks or even months, but not the case with Mark Zuckerberg. He dished all of that. The time Facebook's board was brought in for this deal, it was all but done. The board, according to one person, was told this, not consulted. So they were told this deal went down, and they weren't even asked about it. So next up, why $1 billion? Not more, not less. Mark Zuckerberg, who planned to pay for Instagram mostly with stock, asked Mr. Systrom, the CEO of Instagram, what he thought Facebook would be worth. The people said if he believed Facebook would one day be worth as much as a company like Google at $200 billion or more, then the equivalent of 1% of Facebook would be sufficient to meet his price, Mr. Zuckerberg told Mr. Systrom. So initially, $2 billion was on the table. Eventually, that went down to about $1 billion. So not that crazy of a number when you put in those kinds of terms of percentage of the entire company of Facebook. So that's how the Instagram acquisition went down. A weekend hashing out the details and ending up agreeing on the final result of $1 billion. It wasn't a month-long process. It was just a few days, and kind of crazy that can happen that quickly, but that's the world we live in now. Next up in app news is another photo-related app, hot off the Xcode press. The new app is headed by the former VP of Twitter and dubbed Dabble. According to the Next Web, basically Dabble lets users create and share their experiences and attach them to places by pinning them to virtual postcards on a map. The idea behind the app is that people will use their smartphones to create a virtual layer over the world filled with geotagged pictures and content that can be useful for others. The CEO of Dabble stated, "We created Dabble because we wanted to go anywhere, say Paris, San Fran, or our local neighborhood, and be connected with content from friends and others who were there before us. We wanted to fill the map with what matters to us and find interesting content." The app intrigues me and sounds like an interesting way to use, especially while traveling, which may lead to it not being sticky, though, if it's going to be mainly for traveling. So I'll have to see, is it mostly for traveling, or can I use it here in my everyday life? If it's not sticky enough, it won't stick, and I won't keep it. So cool idea that I hope takes off. Another app news is Read It Later. It's been rebranded to their new app called Pocket. The name Pocket is used to embrace that people not only want to read things later, but watch video later and look at images later too. The app will even separate out your images, videos, and articles in different areas of the app to make it really easy to go exactly to what you want to be looking at right now. The app still integrates with a ton of apps to make sending content to Pocket really easy. The video part of this is what really excites me, as this is the one thing Instapaper doesn't do for me quite yet. This is another app I'll try out and see how sticky it really is. Now on to the one competitor story of the day. I want to simply highlight a Macworld piece that showcases how you convert a physical video disc, such as a DVD or Blu-ray, to a digital copy through Walmart's Ultraviolet service. So here's how it works. You bring in a DVD or Blu-ray and pay a fee for that movie to be available in the Vudu app through Ultraviolet. You pay $2 per disc, or if you have DVD, you can pay a $5 fee to get an HD version. Unlike iTunes, however, you don't get an HD version plus the SD version if you go for the higher end version. You just get the HD version, which is a big bummer. Walmart will stamp a little ring on your disc to stop others from using that same disc, so you're not going to be able to do that multiple times. And I'm curious how they'll stop people from doing this for Blockbuster rentals or Redbox. I'm not sure if those are marked up at all. So far, DreamWorks, Fox, Paramount, Sony, Universal, and Warner Brothers are participating. And currently, there's around, I believe, 4,000 titles in this. And also to note, DVD extras are hit and miss if you get those cloudified or not, as it's on a case-by-case basis. The plus side of this is that a scratched-up disc can now get new life with this service. The bad side of this is you're stuck using streaming videos rather than downloaded ones, and you're stuck using the Vudu app, which is not quite as nice as the built-in Apple apps. I would totally utilize this service if it was movies for iCloud, but for movies with Vudu integration, I say no thank you. Movie studios, please support Apple to do the same thing. Just go to an Apple store and iCloudify your movies, because I would totally eat that up and do it with a ton of movies, and you'd make a lot of money this way. So please, studios, consider that. Now on to some accessory news. First up is a new product from Mophie. The Juice Pack Power Station Pro is this new product. It's a 6,000 milliamp external battery for USB-based devices like the iPad and iPhone. What makes this battery really bad to the bone is that it's designed to be basically survive anything, go anywhere. It's waterproof, drop-proof, and generally pretty rugged. The battery costs $130 and is well worth the purchase. After all, who can't get enough batteries? I mean, we always need more power. Head over to Mophie.com to order yours today. And other notable accessory news today is a new product, or a product recently discovered by The Verge, called the iPhone Boom. The 4-inch long device plugs into your iPhone's headphone jack and is available now for $40. Includes a directional setting feature so that you can optimize your recording based on how far away you are. The mic runs off a single AAA battery. The Boom mic is also compatible with your iPod Touch and iPad. So if you're looking for a way to improve your sound from your iOS device, give this microphone a try. The mic is available from photojojo.com. Now onto some general Apple news. To begin is a new beta of Mountain Lion. Developer Preview 3 is now out for developers to test out. The new version arrives as build 12A178Q, up from the earlier version 12A154Q. I'm not sure those version numbers matter much, but they have changed. The changes included in this new version are not yet discovered, so hopefully tomorrow more details will emerge for people that are happy enough to break their NDA. And other general Apple news is the fact that Tim Cook and the Samsung CEO have agreed to appear in court to hash out their disagreements with Samsung copying Apple. According to the report, as directed by the court, Apple and Samsung are both willing to participate in a magistrate judge settlement conference with Judge Sparrow as mediator. At Apple, the chief executive officer and general counsel are the appropriate decision makers, and they will represent Apple during the upcoming settlement decisions. At Samsung, the chief executive officer and general counsel are the appropriate decision makers, and they will represent Samsung during these settlement decisions. Hopefully some resolution comes from this, as I'd rather have Apple focused on producing great things rather than them fighting off copycats. So that's that, and it should be a cool court case to see. Speaking of Tim Cook, is Time's annual list of 100 most influential people in the world. Tim Cook, as well as Walter Isaacson, made it onto the list. Regarding Tim Cook, Time writes that it is difficult to imagine a harder challenge than following the legendary Steve Jobs as CEO of Apple. Yet Tim Cook, a soft-spoken, generally humble, and quiet, intense son of Alabama, shipyard worker, and a homemaker, hasn't missed a single beat. Fiercely protective of Jobs' legacy and deeply immersed in Apple's culture, Cook, at 51, has already led the world's most valuable and innovative company to new heights while implementing major policy changes smoothly and brilliantly. He has indubitably imprinted his leadership on all areas of Apple, from managing its complex inner workings to identifying and shepherding now insanely great technology and design breakthroughs into product pipeline. Regarding Walter Isaacson, Time writes that this is influence of the best species, educating us while demonstrating the continued fascination of the seriously examined life rendered by Isaacson, with the objectivity of a true historian and the flair of a born storyteller. But what most separates Isaacson at age 59 from his would-be peers is his wisdom in choosing subjects whose individual talents have affected all of our lives. Time's 2012 list of the world's most influential people is the magazine's cover story for next week's issue and highlights representatives in 5 different categories: breakouts, pioneers, moguls, leaders, and icons. Congrats to those that made the list. I personally think 2012 has just begun and think this list should have been delayed a few more months at least. So out of general Apple news and into some news from NAB. First up is G Technology releasing their Thunderbolt version of the G RAID. With this release, there are even more options for those looking for external storage solutions using Thunderbolt. The storage comes in a variety of setups, including 4 terabytes at $700, 6 terabytes at $850, and 8 terabytes for $1,000. Kind of pricey, but you're getting a lot of storage and a really good box to connect to your device. And with it being rated, this can be super fast connectivity and rivals that of the Pegasus, which is about double this cost. So kind of cheap when you compare it to high-end storage solutions. Thunderbolt is an incredibly fast connection for devices like the MacBook Air, and this device, this G RAID, is daisy chainable, so you can actually buy a bunch of them to get pretty much endless storage. They are on sale now, but supply is limited. Last up today is a follow-up on yesterday's GoPro story from NAB. More details are emerging from the conference. dvinfo.net reports that the protein firmware update is now expected to hit late May rather than just a generic summer, and this is much earlier than I expected. I expected probably a July or August release of this, but May sounds pretty sweet. Also notable news is that the Wi-Fi backpack will be available without the remote for a reduced cost of only $59, down from the $100 combo pack, which includes the remote. Having a standalone backpack makes a lot of sense because you could use your iPhone to control the GoPro, and with multiple GoPros, you really only need just one remote, not multiple remotes. So also to note is that GoPro is working on a firmware update to allow for direct streaming to Ustream or Justin TV or some other streaming service out of the box. So right from your camera to the service through a connected Wi-Fi connection. This would be ideal and something I'm eager to see in action. Imagine having a Wi-Fi in your pocket while streaming out some insane surfing or something like that. Kind of crazy. So that'd be really cool to see in action once that hits. Finally, to address a shortcoming in the original HD Hero casing with underwater shooting, GoPro is going to offer a new dive housing for $50 that will incorporate a larger flat lens. The lens is designed to limit the loss of sharpness when shooting underwater that occurs with the original case that you get with your GoPro. The dive housing is expecting to be available in early May. Thanks to DV Info for filling in the gaps of GoPro news from NAB 2012. Well, that's what's going on in the Apple world today. If you like the show, head over to iTunes, leave a review, and don't forget to head on over to youtube.com/TCHATEN for my YouTube channel and the video version of iWake. Join me tomorrow for another edition of iWake. Aloha.